So like one of my biggest fears was, okay, I move abroad and now I don't have any money. I just end up broke under a bridge somewhere. And though that was quite unrealistic, started thinking, what if this move is actually what catapults you into financial freedom? How would that be possible? And I was like, okay, it gave my brain some work to do instead of like, swimming in I don't know how. I was like, okay, how could I figure this out? And doing the research and talking to people and reading and saying, oh my gosh, I really could make this the way that I fast track myself into financial freedom. And I did that through living my life the way that I really wanted to.
What's up, Doc? Welcome to the Docs Get Money podcast. Are you a badass doctor killing it professionally and has bigger dreams than just clocking in and out of the hospital? Do you want to leave behind a legacy that is as lit as an HBCU homecoming? Want to know how other doctors are getting to the big bag? That's right, making 5, 6, and 7 figures without putting on the white coat? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Kimberly, but you can call me Kim or KB. I went from being a burnt out and overwhelmed emergency physician to the founder and CEO of 2 6-figure non-clinical companies and beating burnout along the way. I'm also your business coach, here to help you make money moves to change the world. This podcast isn't just about making money, though. It's about leveling up your life, mindset, and bank account so you can build an empire that's as iconic as Beyonce. You ready? Let's get into it. What's up, Doc? Welcome to the Docs Get Money podcast. Today, I'm so excited. I have a guest. It's going to be an interview episode with Dr. Kristine Goins of the Nomads MD. We're over here just giggling because in my mind, she has been someone that has supposed to have been on this, Ben had been on this podcast. And that's what I just said. Ben had been on the podcast because she and I have so many different things in sync, how we talk, how we think, just in our like social media content. If y'all know, there's so many different people you'll come across on social media that just feel like a friend in your head, and she's just one of them. So I'm so excited to talk to her today. She is a physician that lives almost 100% abroad. She says she's living in the United States or busy in the United States like 2 weeks out of the year. So 2 out of 52, that's a really, really small percentage out of the entire year. So she's basically living outside of the United States and practicing medicine as well, too. So I cannot wait for you guys to get into this conversation with me, with her today. If you guys hear some buzzing, today is another podcast and pumping day. So yeah, sorry about that. If you can hear that in the background, Cynthia, if you can edit that out, please do. But otherwise, yeah, gotta feed Emerald, y'all. So let's get into it. So Dr. Kristine Goins is a board certified integrative adult and pediatric psychiatrist and a world traveler. Prior to pursuing a freedom and adventure by becoming a digital nomad, Dr. Goins graduated from Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, completed her adult psychiatry residency at Emory University, and her child and adolescent psychiatry fellowship at Yale. Passionate about the approaches to healing outside of conventional practice, she also completed an integrative medicine fellowship at the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine. Having served in several healthcare settings and various leadership positions within academic centers, Dr. Goins has witnessed firsthand the impact that burnout, stress, and work-life imbalance have on physicians' lives. Motivated by a desire to make a difference, Dr. Goins founded the Nomads MD, where she empowers doctors to achieve a balanced and fulfilling life where they can work less and live anywhere. Dr. Kristine Goins, welcome to the Docs Get Money podcast. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here.
I know. I'm so excited to have you. You know, we were like fangirling before we started hitting the record button. I don't even know where to start. I guess let's just start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about you growing up and even why you decided to get into the medicine in the first place. Let's kind of just like hit the foundation there.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in East Orange, New Jersey, urban area, and Just that community and seeing people not be able to access health the way that they should, it really hit me even as like a young kid. So when I was 8, I decided that I wanted to be a doctor because I really saw them as educators and teachers. So I was like, I really want to do this. So since the age of 8, I was like, this is the track that I'm on. Um, and nothing really shifted for me in terms of like that goal, except that when I became a teenager, I started reading Eric Jerome Dickey books and decided that I also wanted to be a world traveler. So I was always trying to figure out, well, how am I going to do both of these things at once? Because I had never seen it done before. And so as I continued with like medical school, we always have that like one summer off after the first year of medical school, at least in the US. And that was my first time ever going abroad. I went to Costa Rica and learned about tropical medicine. And then since then, at every part of my training, I have integrated travel somehow until I became an attending. And I thought like, oh, attending life, yeah, like I'm going to have
Mm-hmm.
like all this time and freedom so I could really live the way I want. And it didn't turn out that that's what attending life was.
I find that so interesting though, because you went to Costa Rica, I went to Ecuador. When I was kind of like in my pre-medicine pursuit, trying to get into medical school. But the same thing is I found loving to travel and seeing medicine and seeing things in different countries. I always liked to travel and loved it. So that's so interesting. So tell me the next, pick up from there. So tell me more. I just want to know everything.
Yeah. So I had different periods of burnout throughout training, as many of us do. And when I hit becoming an attending, thinking that this was going to be really different, I was pretty despondent because it wasn't like that at all. Actually, I had even more responsibilities and I was training and I was an associate program director and running DEI committee, all these different experiences that were always really important to me that I love, but I felt that they came at the cost of other things in my life that I also really loved that I felt would make me whole and balanced. And I got to the point where in the middle of my day, I would physically have chest pain. Like it would feel like I was having a heart attack. I was working in 10 different clinics throughout the week. So I was running all over town all the time. I was working at over 60 hours a week, easy, maybe over 70. And I was exhausted. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Why was that though? Was that the contract that you were in? Was it like just a mindset that you were just kind of like, let me just hustle and make a bunch of money? I know you're a psychiatrist, so always there's a need for you, but how did that situation come to be where you're like working at 10 different clinics and running around town?
Well, straight out of fellowship, I always knew that even if I went into academia, I would always have something I was doing on my own on the side. So I always had my own LLC and my own business. And so I did one day that was private practice consulting work. I always did that. And so my other 4 days, that's where all the running around really would happen because I
Mm.
worked in 2 different community centers as part of this contract. I worked in 6 different schools and I worked in the academic itself, teaching and working in their like academic clinic. So it was just a lot of different spaces. And that was part of the contract because I was also a community and family psychiatrist. So it was about being there where the people are.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're working your, like you say, your little side hustle just one day out of the week, but your main job is what's really draining you out. So tell me what it was like when you just hit the wall and you just knew that you needed to do something different.
At that point, I noticed that I started to get like whole body spasms all over. And I was actually becoming concerned that I had through all this stress, like created a neurological disorder that I couldn't get rid of. So I went to a neurologist, and within like 2 minutes of the conversation, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm like so stressed out with work and all of these things. And he just cut me off and was like, look, do you want me to give you Lexapro? And I was like, I don't get it. Like, why? He's like, well, I mean, it's not like you're going to quit your job, are you? And I was just like, I just sat with it. Like, first of all, is this where medicine is? But also,
Right.
like,
It's like really the conversation he's having with you, number one. But at the same time, that's a real conversation.
no, it is. It is. And I
Yeah.
left that office having the conversation with myself. Like, this is not a serotonin imbalance. This is a lifestyle imbalance. So do I want to make the decisions that are necessary to address the real issue, which is that this doesn't fulfill me just living only one part of my life's dream. And so I said, that's it. I have to make a change. I put in my 4 months notice at the academic center, and I booked a one-way ticket to Colombia without even telling my family. I was just like, I'm committed. Like, I'm so committed to doing what is right for me. I will let them know and deal with these repercussions after.
Pause. That's a huge leap from that conversation. You walked out of that doctor's office and did all of those things the exact same day?
No, probably in the next week. Just kind of pondering, thinking, you know what? Yeah.
Why? There's so many questions that I have, but I guess why Colombia? Number one.
Well, during this time, it was 2021 early.
Okay.
So there, COVID is still going on ish. And I wanted to be close enough to the States that I could get a flight back and I could be back in 3 hours, which I could do from Colombia. I was going to start in Cartagena. I love the beach. I love the water. And I wanted to be somewhere where it would be easy enough to be in the same time zone. I speak Spanish, so I knew the language. And I wanted to see people who look like me, and they're over there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm so shocked by your decision and your movements because one, I've had that type of moment in my life, so I understand it, but I realize that is very much a few and a far in between, and that was kind of like years to months of a build up for me to get to that point to make a drastic move like that. So how did you come up with the courage to just say, I'm quitting my academic job, like to medicine? That's our safety net. That was your full-time job, your bread and butter, all of those things. How did you just get the courage to just decide to say, nope, I'm closing it down. I'm just going to just go do this? Was it just the passion of what does it take for me to just get to what I want to live and start living the life that I want to live now? Or was there something else that was there?
I think it was taking my deepest fears and exploring them, not trying to run away from them or not trying to use them as an excuse to not do what I really wanted, but being able to flip them on their head. So like one of my biggest fears was, okay, I move abroad and now I don't have any money. I just end up broke under a bridge somewhere. And though that was quite unrealistic, I started thinking, what if this move is actually what catapults you into financial freedom? How would that be possible? And I was like, okay, it gave my brain some work to do instead of like, swimming in I don't know how. I was like, okay, how could I figure this out? And doing the research and talking to people and reading and saying, oh my gosh, I really could make this the way that I fast track myself into financial freedom. And I did that through living my life the way that I really wanted to. And so I think it was taking all of those greatest fears and just allowing my brain to find the solution instead of making it a problem.
Right. I'm absolutely love that. So I think that's where we get our biggest wins is when we literally look our fears in the face and just like you said, challenge them, really doing the shadow work. That's the first word that came to my mind as you started saying these things, is doing the shadow work of like, why am I afraid of this? What if this is nothing to be afraid of? Like what if it's literally a shadow? Like we think it's something, but when you really take it down, it's not a thing. It's an illusion of something. Um, I'm obsessed with that you've decided to do that, because I think so often we just decide to believe our thoughts and believe our primitive brains. As a psychiatrist, I know you know what I'm talking about. So it's just like, yeah, that's incredible. So you picked Cartagena, you picked Colombia, so that was going to be
Mhm.
close. You said enough is enough because you were sitting there after that neurologist asked you those questions and was like, what do I really want? This is not, I know it's not a serotonin problem. I'm a doctor. Like, I know what's happening. This is literally, am I going to do this or not? And you took the courageous decision to really move forward from there. So, but why not tell your family though? Tell me about that decision. Because I've done some stuff like that
Well,
too.
I wanted to make a commitment. And I think the commitment really comes first. And the commitment is to myself, it's not to anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sometimes when you make the commitment first, it allows you to have courage in other areas, to have those conversations and to really be able to have more clarity about why and the purpose. And it just gave me enough time to kind of sit with it, to understand like this is the best decision for me, even if they can't see it right now. Because if I try to talk to them before, it's like, oh, no, these like horrible things will happen. It's not safe. There's a whole lot of things. And typically it's from people that know you and love you the most because
Mm-hmm.
they don't want anything bad to happen. It's all out of love.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that really we know best. That's where that intuition comes in, right? It's like
Right.
there's an inner knowing that this is the path to follow. And so I just kind of wanted to make that commitment and decision to myself. And then I was like, okay, now I can let other people
Mm-hmm.
know so that they could start their own journeys to move in the direction of where I'm going.
Right. 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 So tell me about how you prove to yourself about the financial freedom. Like if you like, did you start doing research about like work assignments? Like how did you really get your brain on board to believe that this could be the opportunity to really get you to where you want to be with your money?
I think one part is really having set up my finances in a way that I have been learning about financial literacy. It was nothing that I was ever taught, but I had always been interested in knowing and being able to feel empowered when it came to
Mm-hmm.
my finances. So I knew that I had an emergency fund, and I had also been using my like setting up my money in a certain way. For instance, I was living off of my academic income, but I was never using or utilizing or doing anything with my private practice income. So I was
Mm.
always thinking about how to live off of less of what I was making and how to always invest in a way that I could be living off of this money at a later date. So I
Got
think
you.
it's just one, how you think about your finances, how you want to practice, essentialism or minimalism, depending on what's, important to you. For me, that really meant I had the practice of spending money on things that were most important to me and not what
Mm-hmm.
was most important to everyone else. And so I think that having that practice actually made that decision a little bit easier. But when it came to moving abroad, it was thinking creatively about, okay, the money that I'm making right now, where does it come from? It comes from the skills and the expertise that I have. They're not going to go away because I'm living in Colombia or in France or in South Africa or some other part of the world. How can I digitize the expertise that I have, the knowledge, the skills, the talents? It's not something that is exclusive to me being in one space. So I think it was thinking creatively about that piece, understanding that the same skills I was using to get the income now, I could get from anywhere. And then also thinking about strategies like geo-arbitrage, where if I was still making this money from the US, but I was then spending the money in another place in a currency where the cost of living was going to be cheaper, though the quality of life was going to be higher, this was going to exponentially help me to increase my investments and my savings because of the change in currency.
Explain geo arbitrage. Were you explaining that? Explain it a little bit again, for me
Yeah.
again. I've never heard that term. Of course, I've heard of rental arbitrage. That's how I grew my company, Sherwood Properties. But tell me a little bit more about geo arbitrage.
Yeah. So geographic arbitrage is when you live in a low cost area, but you are earning an above average income in a different currency. So let's say
Got
you
you.
live you live in a place. Well, let's say right now I'm in Mexico, so where I would be spending Mexican pesos, but I'm getting money USD from the US, or maybe I'm getting money from the UK and pounds.
Huh. And so that is the way that you were just like, okay, if I still were making American money through other streams of income and working in this country, living in this country with a super low cost of living, then basically that's how you would be able to pay off all your debts and kind of live the life that you wanted to live from there.
Yes, and even more so than I was able to do in the US. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like I made the same income when I
Hmm.
left, but my expenses dropped to a third. But
Hmm.
my quality of life was increased, and I was only working, instead of over 60 hours a week, I was working 20 hours or less a week.
So tell us more. Tell us how you found these work assignments. Are there recruiters for this, or there are go betweens? Um, where all have you lived? I have so many questions. Where all have you lived? Yeah, let's start with how are you finding these jobs first?
So I have my own company. I had it since I left training when I was working that 1 day a week, for myself. So I already had contracts with psychiatric clinics in the area that I was living in. So
Okay.
I kept those contracts. And instead of
Okay.
working 1 day a week for myself, I worked 2 days a week for myself. That's all I did.
Okay.
So
So,
it's,
oh,
it's
I
really
see.
just relationships. It's just doing the same work that you were doing, but doing it virtually.
Okay. I was going to say telemedicine. Got you. So you were not necessarily working in, let's say, South Africa or Mexico in that local place. Were you? You're not seeing patients in that local country? No,
No,
you're
because
just
you
only
can't
living.
do that. Right. Unless you have a medical license in those countries, you can't see patients in those countries.
That's what I was interested in asking. Are you also pursuing medical licenses in each of these countries? That was my big question.
No, all of my patients are in states
So
where I
smart.
have a medical license in the US, which again, right, feeds that geographical
Go
arbitrage because I
arbitrage.
don't really
Mm-hmm.
want to be making money in a lot of the countries that I love to be in. I don't need to. And I also don't need to necessarily take from the doctors who are living there either. I don't really actually need to do that. Though I can collaborate with them in other ways. And I typically do. Like Panama is one of my home away from homes. And, I collaborate and volunteer there with the doctors, but I don't actually get fee for service in those places.
Got you. Got you. Okay. Because I guess that's what my big question is. When I hear you say you're a digital nomad, yes, I have that thought in mind, but I never thought about what that would look like for a physician because I would just automatically think that you would be moving to this country and then subsequently following the country standards of becoming a physician there and then just serving in those countries while still getting your money some other way. And through the digital route. I guess I just never connected the overlap of the two. But I think that it makes so much sense. And it makes so much more practical and financial sense to do it the way you're currently doing it, clearly. So yeah, so tell me about all the countries that you've lived in so far.
Okay, let me see if I can
You're
remember
like,
all of
here's the
them.
list.
Started in Colombia.
Hmm.
Think for Ecuador, Panama, Guatemala, most of like Central South America, like
Okay.
Brazil, Argentina, most of that area. But also lived in Georgia, the country,
Hmm.
and France, South Africa.
What part of South
I'm
Africa?
probably missing. I lived in Joburg. I've lived in
Okay.
Cape Town and also in Durban, the three largest cities.
Yeah,
Just
I've been to Durban.
experience
I
them all.
actually, yeah, Durban's amazing. I loved it because it's right on the
Yes.
water. It's so
Yeah.
great. The people are great too. So, oh,
Beautiful.
that's so amazing. How long are you typically in each of these countries?
I'm typically in each for about 3 to 6 months. It depends. Like if I'm slowing down a little bit, like right now I'm
Hmm.
in Mexico, slowing down a little bit because I have, I'm meeting family in Atlanta this weekend. I have some conferences and some speaking to do. So I'm here for 4 months, and
Hmm.
Mexico is the way one of my home away from home. So it doesn't feel like I could be in EO in New Jersey right now. Like it doesn't feel any different to me. um,
That's really cool. That's amazing. Okay, so now let's talk about. So now we understand how you're living this life. Like I said, I am amazed. Y'all, I was telling her before I hit the record button that this is honestly a goal of mine is to move out of the country in the next 18 to 24 months. And that's a scary thing for me to say.
yeah.
So let's talk about the doctors that you currently work with. How did you then
hmm
pivot, Kristine, to start helping other physicians get to this? And then tell us a little bit about what you do with your clients inside of Nomads MD.
So it started because I was helping people for free. Like I would have friends of friends, like, oh, my friend's an OB, she really can't take it anymore. She wants to move abroad. Can you help her? I know you've been doing this for a while. And I would do that. And then after about like a year or two of doing it, I was like, I could get paid for this. Like I love doing it so much that I would 100% do it for free. But I'm like, why am I doing it for free? So it's like, so that's really how the idea started.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I'm so passionate about. It's literally my life, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I loved connecting with doctors around that. And so what I do at Nomad MD is I help doctors to build lives of freedom where they're able to work less and live anywhere by building a time and location independent business. So it's really about digitizing their medical expertise so that they can give that meaningful service, the thing that they love to do the most. They don't have to give it up just to live abroad, or maybe they want to live in a different part of the country than they work. It really depends on what they want, but they literally can live anywhere in the world and make the same money, and have more of their time freedom. Because I think that for me, it wasn't just the compensation, it was the fact that most of my week, I was doing what I wanted to do, even when I was working. Like,
Hmm.
because I was working, doing what I wanted, but the amount of time that I actually wanted, because I 100% love psychiatry and I love it more when I do it about 5 to 10 hours a week. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Now that I've come back to practicing medicine, I feel like I'm reconnecting back to emergency medicine because I'm not there full time anymore. Like I am there part time. I work 5 shifts a month and goodbye. and I'm good. I'm not
Yeah.
engaged and invested like I would be in the past. I think that makes so much more sense. So how are you helping to them to digitize that? Whether that looks like, I guess, like telemedicine practice. Clearly that's, I think, one of the easiest ones, but how else do you help them to
Yeah.
digitize their medical knowledge?
So you can do it in so many different ways. Even if we think about telemedicine, even that comes in different flavors. So you can be working for a telemedicine company. So there's so many
Mm-hmm.
different companies. Sometimes it's connecting them to one. You can be working for another clinic, though you have your own PLLC or LLC.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I do. Or you can have your own telemedicine practice, right? Where you own the company itself. So every part of it is very flexible in what you want to do. For some people, it's consulting, right? And you can do that virtual consultation, whether it's in your actual specialty, whether it's in a niche that's like outside or a subspecialty area of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you love to do within your specialty, you could. It could be non-clinical or clinical, or you could do both. Most of the doctors I work with love to do like a hybrid of clinical and non-clinical, just because I think it gives people, variety and it makes them more excited. I do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be coaching, coaching in different aspects, whether it's in the area of health and wellness or in the area completely outside.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just so many different ways to do it. It could be through writing. Plenty of doctors do it through writing and education, working for different companies, either their own company or working for a company that is international, where it's all virtual. So it doesn't matter, if you're in
Mm-hmm.
a particular space. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different avenues for it. But I think most of the doctors that I work with either end up doing a telemedicine, some type of consulting or coaching or a hybrid.
I love that. I absolutely love that for so many different reasons. Of course, because I love helping doctors become coaches and consultants. It's such a natural lane for us to fall into. We have so much experience from so many different angles in our lives that it just makes sense that we do that. We coach and consult every day as far as our day job anyhow. So tell me some about a little bit about your clients. Tell me about some of their wins. Where do they move
Yes.
from to? As much information as you can without,
Right.
protecting their privacy, of course,
Spelling.
as well
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
me, tell me.
I mean, I have clients who live in Dubai, and have their practices in New York or Miami, like, so everyone basically has their practice in the US.
Hmm.
And all of them are utilizing geo-arbitrage, right? Is the best like financial strategy. I have clients who do areas of consulting, and they're nomadic. So they bounce around like me. They don't live in a specific country, but they get to spend most of their time outside of the US and, pop in when they want to, or go ahead and spend time with family and then leave. And they can do I mean, some have telemedicine practices in their particular specialty. Others are really doing consulting to other industries like health tech and AI, really
Mm.
pivoting what they know into helping, the future of medicine, which we know is going to involve AI and
AI.
tech, and really
Yeah.
getting on the front line of that. So some of them are actually consulting with other industries and companies and startups in that way. So it's really like diverse. What
Hmm.
I help do is from every part of the process. I've had doctors come to me just with like the idea, because usually you have an idea and usually you kind of do know what you want to do. You're just afraid that you aren't going to be able to do it. There's a lot of fear there. So really
Hmm.
helping them through that process and then getting started, taking those actions step by step, from registering for the LLC, getting their money set up, whether it's also moving abroad at the same time, making sure their finances are set. The sales and the marketing is a shift, right? For many of us as
Right.
doctors, we've not had to really dabble in that part, putting yourself out there so that you can network and have those connections and collaborations that help patients and clients get to you. to maintain your compensation. So all of those pieces of the business, I help them with. And then also some of those life things, like what is it like to, move abroad and go to a country where you don't know anyone? What
Right.
is it like to, have your children switch to a different country and now they're in a different educational system? How do I help them with, the accommodations for that piece?
Right.
Which is a lot of, work that I was kind of already doing anyway because of work in
Hmm.
DC. A lot of people work for the government and a lot of people do move to different parts of the world and have to have those kind of connections.
Right.
So it's really all those different pieces of life, family, and business that would help you to live fully abroad is what I specialize and help doctors with.
And how have they been able to win, I guess, financially because of that? Like, have they been able to, I guess, pay off some debts, or like what sort of wins have your clients had because they've been able to move abroad and utilize geo arbitrage?
Definitely paying off debts, but I think the most has been being able to maintain their compensation because I think the biggest fear that a lot of doctors have is that I'm not going to have the compensation that I need when I move abroad. A
Hmm.
lot of people want to move. They know that their life is going to be probably slower, more filled with, time freedom. But I think the compensation piece is really big. So I think being able to know that they can make the money they were making in the US, but from anywhere in the world, that I
Hmm.
think is the biggest win for most of them. Being able to make sure that they're investing and they're now
Hmm.
maybe they were investing, 30 to 40% or less of their income because the costs were so high in the US. Now they're investing 50% or more of their income. You know, that means that they're closer to their financial independence where they don't
Right.
really need to work at all or where you can just be, like I do now, it's work optional. I work because
Hmm.
I think work is I really don't believe working for money is a thing. I don't think
Hmm.
that that should be a thing at all.
Hmm.
I think that we really work for ourselves. We really work for
Hmm.
meaning. I think it's a backwards thing that we kind of in society just been taught. It benefits a lot of other people for us to believe
Oh,
that.
yeah, it
But
does.
I really I don't think that it's for the money. If you look at people who have billions and billions of dollars, these people do not sit at home. Every single one of them work because it is such a meaningful activity. Like it feels so good to work.
Hmm.
Most of us don't get to experience that because we're so focused on financial stress and the financial pressure of feeling like we have to work. So really what I think is a win for my clients is being able to allow them to change their relationship to what work even means in their life.
I absolutely love that, and make them just want to work again, just to
Yeah.
truly just enjoy it and reconnect to it, especially when you are burnt out. I want to go back to something you brought up before. You talked about your own personal burnout and how you started having chest pain and how you started to even have like those electric shocks through your body, which brought you to the neurologist. Are your clients also feeling the same thing? Like you told me about the OBGYN, but like, are all of your clients kind of just like, I am burnt out, I can't do it anymore? Or is it just anyone else that's maybe fresh out of residency and they just know that this is what they want to do? I guess, does burnout have to be the catalyst to work with you?
It doesn't have to be. And because I work with docs who are early career, mid career, and late career,
Hmm.
you know, there's docs that come in at different stages. So usually with the early career docs that I work with, they've maybe experienced burnout in residency, or maybe they've just seen their attendings and the other doctors that they look up to and seeing what their life is like. And they're like, I can't do that. I refuse to
Hmm.
do that. And so they're really kind of setting it up preemptively like, this is actually the life I want to live. How can I start doing that sooner?
Mm-hmm.
For the mid-career docs that I work with, a lot of them have experienced burnout. And so they might be coming with chronic illnesses. They might be coming with a lot of fatigue, a lot of, docs who have experienced burnout will understand what I'm talking about. When you are out of burnout, you still have the effects of burnout. Like it still takes time, even after you're not burnt out, to recover from the years that you were burnt out. So I have some docs that came and they were burnt out and they are, went through recovery and are healing, but still it's a process. So,
Mm-hmm.
that great. And then also I've had clients who are late career where, they had burnout maybe early in their career, but they've been like, that was a long time ago. Their kids are grown. They're going to college. And they're like, how do I still like do what I love and still stay
Mm-hmm.
connected to medicine somehow, but actually start this life that I've always thought about living, but I thought it wasn't possible for me. And
Yeah.
this is the first time I'm seeing in my generation like that people are
Yeah.
doing this. I got to get on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. It's just like I don't think that my mom's generation could even like that was literally like a pipe dream to them. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Like one day maybe that would be so amazing, but to actually see now people actualizing it, it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, now's my opportunity. I absolutely, oh, I love that. And you, like I said, you and I want to do it. So it's just like there's so many other physicians that I've been talking to lately that this is the path that they want to take. And I think with the advent of YouTube and Instagram and all social media, we're seeing and being connected to other people that are making it possible for us to believe that it's possible for us to do it as well too. So I guess if you were to be talking to someone else out there, another
Hmm.
doctor who maybe is considering, but is still in the I don't know type of phase, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I would say that if you know that you have a deep interest or a spiritual longing to travel or to live abroad, don't ignore that. Like it's been placed there for a reason. It's really an outward journey for an inward purpose.
Mm,
A lot of what we're used to as doctors is having step by step, knowing exactly what to do next. That's what we've been used to. So doing something that is outside of that box is really terrifying and scary for most of us. And so what having support and going through that process is, it's like having those boxes, but now for, having a blueprint, having uh, those checks, but creating them for yourself. It's not someone else's, um, algorithm for you, but you get to create that and you get to have someone support you through every single step of that process. So you are not alone. It is so much easier to do this than anything we have done in medicine. I 100% guarantee it. It is
easier than putting in the
100%
chest tube, easier than calming down a
everything.
crazy psych patient, easier than intubating somebody, easier than all of that.
All of it, all of it. You have done things that are 100 times more difficult than this. It's really just a mindset shift. And if
Mm,
you allow yourself to believe that it's possible, all you have to do is take one step at a time.
I love it. Dr. Kristine Goins, you have anything else that you want to share with the Docs Get Money podcast audience today?
Just I love your energy. I love what you do. I'm so
Thank
excited
you.
to like chat it up and meet you kind of in real life, but you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Um
virtually still at the same time.
and just want to, thank the audience. If there's anyone out there, any doctors who really see themselves living abroad to reach out. I'd love to help.
I love it. So you guys, if you are on Instagram, she is at the Nomads MD. I will put her website in the show notes, and it'll be on the description too on YouTube as well. Kristine, like I said, this feels like a chat with somebody I've known in my head for so long, and it's good to actually have a conversation so it's not weird. And we actually know each other now in real life. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. I know that the people that work with you and that will continue to work with you are just going to live incredible lives and really make impact in themselves and their generation and their families for generations to come as well too. So thank you so much for gracing the podcast. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to the Docs Get Money podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you find your favorite podcast. Share, comment, follow, and subscribe to the Docs Get Money podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to know more, visit me, Dr. Kimberly Brown, at KimberlyBrownMD.com, and be sure to follow me at Dr. Kimberly B on Instagram. And until next time, let's go get this money, honey.